Good afternoon. It is day 5. I think it's day 5 of 30 on my 30-day challenge of vlogging every single day. So today I decided to try this walk and talk vlog style that y'all have been doing. Not sure what I wanted to say. I just know that I wanted to get on here because I was coming to the point where it was just on my mind for a long time. Constantly thinking about it since I woke up at the firehouse. I really didn't want to do a vlog there, so I started thinking about it and I had to figure out when I was going to do it. Came home really busy. We went out and did a lot of shopping. We're going camping this weekend, so we were getting ready for that. So I was trying to find some time. We're gonna go to the gym at 4:30. I coached the 5:45 class, so I was already like making excuses. And the thought of, you know what, maybe I'll just skip it today crossed my mind. But I knew if I just went that route, that once I quit, it makes it easier to do it again the next time. So I could easily make any excuse that I want. So I thought I would just come on here. Very little edits. It allows me to go back and upload it, do a quick little screenshot, throw a title in there and upload it pretty quickly. Yeah, so that's kind of where I was at today. So I want to just, I guess I could talk about this morning. Every morning I wake up about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I sit down and I write in my journal. So this morning, for whatever reason, it was probably the books I've been reading. I've been reading Mastery. So that book, along with like this vlogging community and just my life where I'm at now. Like I said, 44 years old and grandpa, eligible to retire. I guess technically today I could retire, but I hit my 20 years, October 31st will be my official 20 years. So I find myself in a position where I could retire and I honestly don't know what I want to do with my life. So anyways, back to the journaling. I was just thinking about that and I started thinking about like well, first of all, how insignificant we are as people, yet we care so much what other people think. And not only like insignificant, like when you think about it, you know, the reality is we're just a little speck on this massive earth in this even bigger universe, and then you could just keep expanding it out. So reality, we're nothing when it comes to that. But then we also allow ourselves to like give in to the thoughts and pressures of what other people are thinking about us. And it started down a path of ego is the enemy. And I know there's a whole book on that one by Ryan Holiday. Specifically, I think it's titled that, Ego is the Enemy. But I started thinking about that a little bit, and man, how true is that statement? You know, after reading the book, you start thinking about where that came from, you know, and then I started writing down kind of like ego is the enemy. Then it transitioned into like we were born to create, and then what stops us from creating, right? So as kids, we all have little passions. We think we're the artists. We draw. It's a masterpiece. We create Legos, we create creatures, we can make, you know, we could see characters in the clouds, and we have this like great imagination, and really like our parents let us live, kids, with doing that. Let me see. Yeah, we'll go back this way, I guess. The sun's horrible. So, let's try this. So anyways, we're talking about like, it becomes like, you know, we have that kid instinct. We have a great imagination. We're able to be creative. And then at some point, we fall into what society wants us, you know, and I've done it as a parent. You know, you let your kid be who they are. They're free, they're imaginative. They have this crazy imagination, creativity. And then at some point, you take them out in public and then you start reining them in. Hey, behave, you know, don't do that. That's not acceptable. And then they go into the school system and they start seeing how other kids are, and you don't want to be perceived as like the dad or the mom with the weird kid, right? So we go into the school system, we end up with our friends, and then we end up with that group, right? With the neighborhood kids. Then you go into the same elementary school, middle school, high school, and you find yourself conforming to like groups or group thought. You know, and then eventually you go into high school, the same thing happens. You go into college, you kind of lose those friends. You start becoming your own person again, your own like identity, but you still have that influence around you. You still care what people think. And then you move on, and then eventually you have your own family. And, you know, without thinking about it, you kind of just fall into that same lifestyle. You let the kids be the artist. They want to be the firefighter, the astronaut. They have this great imagination. And then we end up falling back into that same cycle, you know, and then getting a little bit older, you end up realizing this, right? You start not giving a shit what people think, or so we say. You know, we like to say it, but it doesn't always happen that way. But then you get a little bit older and you start getting into your 30s, your 40s, and then you really realize that like nobody really cares. Your friends kind of just disappear. You make new friends, you make friends at work, but then everybody's on different lifestyles, right? They have their kids, your kids, so then you move on. And then eventually you end up in a position where you're retired and you see those people and you think that they're like grumpy old men, but really like they just don't care, right? And they're free, they're living their best life. They truly don't care what people think, you know, and that's, I think, when you have that freedom. But when it comes back again to like ego is the enemy, in the fact that like our ego is there to protect us, right? You know, back when we had saber-tooth tigers, you wanted to be part of the group, and if you weren't part of the group, well then that puts you in a bad position where you're unable to like defend yourself, you know? So it was good, your ego was there to protect you and save you. Fast forward to today, our ego is still there to protect us and give that group thing, and like no matter what we say, like we don't care what people think. That, I think the ego plays into that. So those are some of my thoughts when I was journaling. Not sure if that made sense. I didn't have any notes. I thought I was gonna hop on here, just talk to you guys, and kind of like just talk to you about what I wrote down on my journal this morning. So that's kind of what I wrote down on my journal. It made sense to me when I was writing it. And then it allowed me to I started thinking about, you know, this, you know, vlogging in public, documenting it. We all have our own reasons. Like, am I gonna become YouTube famous? Am I gonna make $1 million? Is this gonna be my retirement plan? You know, I really don't know. But I do know that 44 years on this earth and 20 years in the fire service, being a grandparent, what that allows me to do is just talk and share these experiences and put them out there, mainly for my grandson, so that he can someday look at this, or my daughter can check this out. Hey, check this out, look. Cam Brown, tree broke. My day's not really going like that, but this tree is. Can you see it there? Tree's having a bad day. So that was a little reference to Cam Brown. He posted a video about having a bad day, and then just so happened that a broken tree branch kind of like that was in the neighborhood. So yeah, so that was kind of my thought. It went down like a couple of paths, but it made me really think about like ego's the enemy. And then ego does stop me from wanting to do stuff, maybe hang it up. Maybe this is not for me, I don't know. But I'm here, sticking to it. This is day 5, I think, of 10. Wanted to get out there, just give it a shot. A couple lessons learned. Luis was spot on in the fact that it's better just to have a plan for the day. So when you're waking up in the morning and you're sitting there having your morning coffee or water, salt water, whatever it is for your ritual, so just come up with a game plan. I didn't do that. I just knew that I had to get it done today. And then I just kept thinking about it, man, I gotta get it done. So lessons learned, make a plan, stick to it, maybe stick to a schedule, get it done. And then if you have any creative ideas, then you could just add that like a little bonus material. Let's see. Other lessons learned. Have a schedule. For me, it's stay consistent. Don't quit. Quitting becomes a habit, the same way as consistency becomes a habit. So I know you want to stick to it. That's day 5, I think, of 30. See you tomorrow.